Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Outside the Echo Chamber, coming to you from HD Media headquarters, home of the Charleston Gazette-Mail. And we are coming to you today from the Frontier Studios. As your host, Doug Scaff, we have an exciting show today. We'll be talking about the verdict of the murder trial of Joshua Phillips. It's been just over a week since he was convicted in the December 2020 shooting of our Charleston police officer Cassie Johnson. Here she is, 28 years old, being sworn in by Mayor Amy Shuler Goodwin in early 2019, less than 2 years before she was killed. She was just an outstanding officer, a role model citizen. The whole community feels and mourns for her and her family to this day. This shot here shows you Phillips being escorted out of the courtroom just shortly after the verdict was read. He'll be sentenced at a later date. But debate over the verdict. He was found guilty, but of second-degree murder. That debate began almost immediately. Today, we have Gazette-Mail opinion editor Ben Fields. You joined us this morning. Welcome to the show.
Good to be here.
You know, in terms of sentence, punishment, Ben, the penalty for second-degree murder, and what's the difference between first-degree murder? What is Phillips actually facing now?
So he's facing 10 to 40 years in prison as a result of the verdict of second-degree murder. First degree would have been life in prison. The only thing to decide there would have been with or without mercy, as it's phrased in West Virginia law, which means with or without a chance for parole after, I believe it's 25 years. So, yes, still convicted of murder, still going to prison for likely a very long time. But there's an obvious difference between second degree, the 10 to 40 years, and life.
Yeah, big difference. I know prosecution was pushing for first-degree murder every time you kill a police officer, and the difference comes into play. Was it premeditated versus just self-defense or whatnot? And I think that's what the defense argued. Is that correct?
Yeah, there was an argument for self-defense. It wasn't a very robust one. I mean, the defense did not take long in presenting their case. It was mostly the prosecution. Just as a former courts reporter myself, I had a feeling that the jury was wrestling with this because they got the case Thursday, and usually, just in my experience, if you're going to get a first-degree murder conviction, it comes back pretty quickly in a case like this. They went on, Thursday afternoon and then all of Friday, and then came back with their verdict Monday. There was no question that he had shot and killed Officer Johnson, and even the defense didn't argue that point. It was just, I think, a matter of what they were going to convict him of. I don't think that there was ever much of a chance that he was going to be acquitted on self-defense.
And I think that's what the verdict means, regardless a lengthy sentence, but the main difference is he will get out at some point. Right,
yeah. I mean, he's a young man. And in the editorial I wrote, I asked if it was justice. It's very hard to lose a member of the community, a young police officer. She was, from all we knew leading up to the trial, she was responding to a parking complaint, and she knew that there was some suspicious activity going on. She had been tipped off in the residence that Phillips was inside. But, she was primarily responding to a parking complaint, and later she had been shot in the neck, and 2 days later she died in a hospital. I mean, it's just a terrible, terrible thing. And, and so I understand why the prosecutors, the mayor, the police chief, her family, her loved ones wanted a first-degree murder conviction. I completely understand that. I think the problem came with proving premeditation, that he had planned to kill Officer Johnson once she arrived. I think that was the sticking point for the jury.
Yeah, and that's, I think you hit the nail on the head. I mean, in your piece, you talked about here, for 16 months, most people and everyone around town
Right.
just thought it was a easy call, and
Yeah.
it would be a slam dunk, so to speak. And I think the prosecution, thought it didn't have to be a long premeditated decision. It just
Right.
happened. I mean, they had a chance to shoot or not shoot, and they still
Yes.
chose to shoot
Yes.
an officer who was just responding at a kind of just a random call, who somebody was
Yeah.
double parked on a sidewalk or blocking a driveway, I believe
Right.
it was.
Yeah. Yeah, and it turns out that he was there to buy pills, I believe. So the tip that there's also some suspicious activity going on there, I think that's why he was maybe on edge when Officer Johnson arrived. It's all very. It didn't need to happen. It's so senseless, and he should obviously be put away for a long time. But at the end of the day, I think the jury had to decide. Was he planning on this being the result? And I think they just couldn't get there. I think the case could obviously be made. That's why he was indicted on a first-degree murder charge. But the burden of proof is on the prosecution, and the defense was able to create enough doubt there to get a lesser conviction.
Well, obviously it was a very emotional trial. It's been an emotional 2 years since it happened.
Yeah.
Anytime you have a member of the community like that, a police officer, someone who wakes up every morning to go out to defend us and give us our freedom, who wasn't able to come home.
Right.
A lot of people from the mayor to police chief to everyone was obviously disappointed in the
Yeah.
outcome. Do you think, though, it should be changed? Do you think we should look at a law here in West Virginia that says when you shoot and kill an active member of our police force, whether it's state police or city police, you should be automatic first-degree life in prison?
I don't know. I think that's a tough question because that gets into, different circumstances, in which officers lose their lives. I see the impetus for it, and I think it would be a good idea. I think it would be something you'd have to be very careful with, though, because officers are regularly put in jeopardy by the nature of their job.
So maybe not necessarily automatic first degree, but maybe stiffer penalties or longer sentences if you shoot and kill an officer.
I think that's something that could maybe work. It's a shame that there's really nothing more that can be done than placing someone in prison. I mean, to me, justice would look like Cassie Johnson placing him under arrest for possession, him complying, and she's still here doing her job every day, making her community a better place every day, like she did. But that's not what happened, and the system can only punish someone for what they did. It can't bring someone back. I think that's the hardest part about trials like these that are so emotional.
Regardless of whatever it was or what penalty he received, we
Right.
can't bring Cassie back. That's the disheartening thing, that it's somebody who's just 2 years into the police force, who was
Yeah.
just sworn in by Mayor Goodwin a few years ago, a role model citizen out there,
Right.
lover of animals, member of the community, always active. Everybody loved her.
Yeah.
One of our own.
Right.
Right here,
Right.
Charlestonian, whatnot. So Ben, before I let you go, I know you've been editorializing this, you've been talking about this. What do you think happens next? I mean, do you think there's call for reform in the legislature? Do you think we look at things that we can do for stricter penalties, or do you think we just, we have to deal with what was dealt here?
I think there could be. I think there could be push for stiffer penalties. It depends on how motivated some folks are after the verdict, and it's clear that many people were not satisfied with the verdict. So there could be a push for reform. Obviously, he still has to be sentenced. I think what that sentence ends up being might. If for instance, if he only gets 10 years,
Right.
Which I think is highly unlikely, but were he to just get a 10-year sentence and then be eligible for parole before that, then I think you would see
Yeah, absolutely.
quite a push to make some changes. I mean, if he gets the max, maybe not. We'll just have to see.
Well, I know this is on the forefront now, especially in D.C. They're talking about we're trying to have bipartisan support for gun reform and reasonable, responsible laws that we can all agree on and put politics aside. And it seems like with today's society and mental health continuing to escalate in issues that we see, something has to be done. I think doing nothing at all when it comes to incidents like this is not acceptable.
I agree.
Well, Ben, I appreciate all you do. Thanks for being on the show.
Thanks.
And look forward to reading your article. If you missed it, go back to Wednesday, June 15th edition. Catch your editorial, Was the Verdict and the CPD Officer Saying Justice. So we'll wait to see what happens when the verdict is announced in the sentencing.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to take a quick break here on Outside the Echo Chamber, and we're going to talk about a new digital feature that we're offering here at HD Media.
We know who we are, where we've been, where we're going. Like hospitals all over America, we are changing, redefining, restructuring ourselves to be the best community health system in the region we serve. We are 2 hospitals with more than 30 locations, 450 providers, and one mission: to heal. As one, we are Thomas Health, caring for our communities today and tomorrow.
Proudly advocating for workers and their families, the West Virginia AFL-CIO is a group of 600 labor organizations representing 70,000 active and 70,000 retired union members. We represent first responders, healthcare workers, educators, coal miners, construction workers, plant workers, truck drivers, grocery store clerks, and every job in between. We believe every worker has the right to fair wages, good benefits, and a safe workplace. That's what the West Virginia AFL-CIO fights for every day.
A new day begins, and what happens today must be covered, reported, and passed on to everyone in the region we serve. We are journalists, staff writers, editors, storytellers. Who are we? We are HD Media, trustworthy and always here for the times we live in.
What started as the Parmar Oil Company in 1967 has grown into 116 convenience stores in 4 states. Parmar convenience stores offer monthly product specials and grab-and-go items. Located just down the street from where you live, Parmar stores are all about being your above-par convenience store. If you don't have a Parmar store near you now, you will soon. Parmar Convenience Stores, neighbors serving your community and making life a little bit easier every day.
Looking for a friendly bank that you can turn to in your community? Bank where the decisions on your needs are made locally. With online banking and 7 locations. Polka Valley Bank, where relationships matter.
Welcome back to Outside the Echo Chamber, everyone. Hey, it's no secret that the world is becoming more digital focused, and I look at YouTube and look at TikTok and all that's happening out there, and people staring at their phones and their iPads and whatnot. Nowhere is it more obvious in the newspaper industry. I mean, the 21st century, people like me are caught between, grabbing a newspaper and feeling it and drinking their coffee or their morning Red Bull or whatever it takes to get their juices going. But a lot of people still like that. But we have to change, and times are changing, and we must adapt, especially the younger generation. The way that news is consumed is changing. We as newspapers must continue to evolve, change, adapt. While we still continue to offer an outstanding print copy, we need to be more focused on what we can do to enhance delivering news to all of you. The Gazette Mail business reporter, Greg Stone, he comes in with a lot of in-depth stories and in print. But now he's taking a little new digital offering in the form of a video series called Can We Talk? So today we offer a chance for Greg Stone to come on the show, talk about how this is going, and what's behind this whole series. Greg, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Doug. Thanks for having me.
So you kind of dreamed up this brainchild of Can We Talk? Talk about where this came from and why it's so important to do this now.
Well, I'm not for a second going to compare myself to some great interviewers like more recently David Letterman with his series on one of the streaming services, Charlie Rose, Harry Smith, but I've always enjoyed the sit down and talk to someone not just about the hard-boiled facts like, how's the blood drive going? Oh, it's going great. Well, what do you think? I want to talk to people about some will be, I hope, if they'll accept the invitation, some will be names that are very familiar and newsmakers, and others will be interesting. Well, I hope they're all interesting, but some will be guests that you don't really know, but they have interesting stories to tell. And Sandy Wells sort of inspired me that way. She would, with her long-running interviews column, I would find myself reading those things just about someone that has been a janitor or whatever for, not that there's anything wrong with being a janitor, but for a long time, and I would find myself being sucked into those stories. I'm thinking, why am I reading this? Just because they're interesting people, they're people.
And presenting it into a video format. It's always, traditional, like Sandy Wells you talked about would write like a full page column about an individual around Kanawha County or West Virginia, a featured story. But talk about why it was important for you to give a shot at over there behind the camera and bring it to life.
Largely what you said. I believe wholeheartedly in what you said. I do think we need to diversify. I'm an old print guy, but facts are facts. I mean, the trends are trends. I saw a clip in the newsroom just before I came down here that it was a wire story, but it said interest in news in 2021 had declined just in straight news. And, so I don't have any delusions of grandeur that this is going to revolutionize anything, but I hope it provides a different kind of vehicle. I'm trying.
Well, no, I appreciate it. Hey, you've gotten your first episode under your belt, and you were with Kanawha County Commission President Kent Carper. Mm-hmm. Before I ask you about that, we're going to take a quick peek here at one of your clips from the video. It's actually out there, archived on the Charleston Gazette Mail and Herald Dispatch website. So let's take a look at this clip right now.
Did you have a gut feeling that this was going to be, this practice would be this?
I had no idea that I would be practicing with the same group of partners for this period of time. I had no idea that we would be that successful. I know this, I really like people. When people say they run for office, I'm a people person. I hear that, I kind of don't even want to hear it, but I really like people. I like working with my clients. My clients know me, and I know them, and I'm just not in an impersonal relationship. So that served me well.
So we just saw the clip here. So tell us really more about that interview with Commission President Kent Carper. This was your first one. Tell me about what it was like interviewing him and the stories you talked about.
Like falling out of bed. That's what they say when something's easy. I don't think of falling out of bed as being very easy. That would hurt. But anyway, Kent's Kent. He's very easy to talk to. He'll tell you stories. I knew some stories about him from having talked to him a lot in the past, having interviewed him. I wrote a profile on him 25 years ago. That's scary. But, excuse me. He's very easy to talk to. He'll tell you stories. And, I hope for people who've seen it, and I hope a few other people will, of course, tune in. It's you don't have to watch all 35 minutes, and we may break it up in the future, but I think it passes a lot quicker than you might think. And it's not just about, lo and behold, water and sewer projects. That's what people think of with the Kanawha County Commission. I don't want people to think that they're going to be subjected to,
Well, he's pretty well known, and everybody knows him, but give us an example, a little preview of a segment that maybe people don't know, something that is exciting to watch.
I think it's hilarious that when he was 9 years old, and this has been used in a couple plugs, but Kent, for people who know him, is a huge ham radio enthusiast. And all I know about ham radio is that it actually doesn't involve real ham. But you talk to people all over the world, and, it's a neat thing. Kent loves that, and he got started with that on the old-fashioned CB when he was only Citizens Band radio when he was 9. And that was a bit unlike today's CB, where truckers talk and use colorful language and everything. He was just him talking to his buddies. Anyway, he had all these antennas that he says he had personally affixed to the top of their house at the age of 9. I found that hilarious and remarkable. I'm glad he didn't get it hurt. But the FCC, I guess they really monitored how much power you were putting out of these antennas, and he was like so gung-ho. His late sister said that half of his bedroom was taken up with all this radio equipment. And anyway, the FCC noticed he was putting out 5 times the power that he should be, so they came by the house, and he got so scared he bolts out the back door, fleeing. He thinks they're going to take him to prison somewhere, and basically they just told him to knock it off. You're getting a little carried away.
So is this? I can't imagine some of the stories. Kent could ramble and go on for a while, and he's always got a great story to tell.
There's others, yeah.
I can't wait to see it. So it's out there, archived right now. It's out there on the website. It's under a tab, Can We Talk, so people can go out there and see it on our app or on the tab. And the goal is to do maybe 2 of these feature videos a month. Is that correct?
Yeah, or more. It depends on how it.
How it's received.
There are other factors.
Well, you've we can sneak peek here. You've recorded a second one, and we're working on that as we speak. So who was that with, and how did that one go?
Well, you probably never heard of him. A guy named Danny Jones.
I think I've heard of him. Yes. So Mayor Danny Jones. I bet that were no loss for words there when you two got together.
It's a more. And I hope the interview with Ken is not boring. This is a more lively. Danny will tell you what he thinks, and this has a little more. I don't want to say edge, but I watched it last night where we're getting it ready to put out there, and it should be in a matter of days. But of course I like it, but I think it's got a little snap to it.
So if people have ideas, and once they see this and they really like it, you go out there, is your plan to maybe also write something in the paper as well to kind of hybrid the 2 projects, or keep this separate and continue to look for more people to interview?
Well, I think we can promote an upcoming thing and an upcoming guest in the paper. It's all our product.
Right. So you have any other people in mind out there that you're looking into?
I do, but
keep people guessing, right?
Well, I don't think there's we're trying to build this. I don't think.
We'll talk about the type of people that you're looking for here.
Well, some of them will be very well-known people that are easy draws, that are low-hanging fruit if they will come on. But I have a curiosity about ordinary people too. Like I talked to a lady who has extensive experience working in homeless shelters, and she was not either on this side or that side. She was sort of rational and in the middle, and stating the facts as to how some of the issues around. She's a possibility. I do have a list of them.
Well, let's keep people guessing then. We don't want to, but no. Hey, Greg, I really appreciate what you're trying to do here. Appreciate what you mean to the newspaper industry. And as we bridge that gap, and as we become more digital savvy, so to speak, and people consume their news differently, we need to bring those stories to life. And I commend you on jumping out there on Can We Talk with Greg Stone. We'll have everybody go out there to our website at charlestongazettemail.com and also on the heralddispatch.com, where we'll be doing more of these feature videos. Hey, everybody, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to wrap up.
The relationship between a lawyer and a client is based on trust. You have to make certain that the lawyer you hire has your best interest at heart. We typically meet our clients at the worst times of their lives, and it's our job to help them. Over the years, we've been entrusted with some of the biggest cases in West Virginia. That's because we have a track record of success and getting exceptional results. We built a reputation as one of the go-to law firms throughout the state of West Virginia.
Joining me, high-profile lawyer Ben Salango. Ben, it's a real honor to have you on.
In fact, many of our cases come from other lawyers. Lawyers who've worked with us, lawyers who've worked against us, and even those who've merely heard of our results. We're proud of the reputation we've earned in the community for providing exceptional, aggressive legal representation. When you hire my law firm, you don't get excuses, you get results.
People keep asking me how Todd Judy Ford has the best selection of vehicles at a time of national shortage.
The secret is our 130% of Kelley Blue Book for your trade-in.
Everyone wants to trade the car with us and get more money.
And now we're making it even better.
We will beat any other dealer's trade offer by $1,000 guaranteed.
If we can't beat it, we'll just give you the cash.
So bring in that car, upgrade your vehicle, and get top dollar for your trade-in now.
Just go to ToddJudyFord.com and see for yourself.
Here in West Virginia, we're known as hard workers, friendly faces, and people with a caring spirit. At Summit Community Bank, those qualities are at the core of all that we do. We're a group of experienced professional bankers that you've known for many years. We work hard to earn your business and will work even harder to help you succeed. We customize banking solutions that work for you. We're Summit Community Bank. Service beyond expectations.
Here at Dutch Miller Jeep in South Charleston, we realize car shopping can be challenging right now. That's why we're committed to holding your hand through this process. Don't see the Jeep you're looking for on the lot? Then ask about the Dutch Miller Advantage, which means you can order the vehicle you want faster, direct from the manufacturer. It's no wonder we continue to be the #1 Jeep dealer in the state of West Virginia.
For a limited time during the Jeep Celebration event, make no payments for 90 days.
Text or chat now at DutchMillerJeep.com.
Thanks for joining us this morning from the Frontier Studios, the home of the Charleston Gazette-Mail and the Herald Dispatch HD Media headquarters. Big shout out to Dan Shreve, Ethan, and Megan, our crew from the Media Center. And thank you to our producer, Maria Young. I can't leave this show without saying big thank you to Ben Fields. Ben Fields has continued to write opinion pieces and editorialize all that's happening around Charleston and West Virginia, as we continue especially to follow the verdict that happened when the Phillips case and the Cassie Johnson and what type of sentencing that person may get and how many years. Also appreciate Greg Stone, one of our own reporters here at the Charleston Gazette-Mail, who has taken that leap and gone out there in a new series called Can We Talk? With Greg Stone, as he goes around and finds interesting people to bring to life through our websites and our platforms. Once again, we encourage your feedback. Send us an email, outside the echo chamber at hdmediallc.com. As we continue to move how we present news to you forward, we look for your ideas, issues, feedback, comments, people you'd like to see on this show. Reach out to us and let us know. Until then, everybody, go out and check out all of our episodes archived on the charlestongazette-mail.com website and the heralddispatch.com. Go see the next edition of Can We Talk with Greg Stone and go out and read Ben Fields' next editorial. Until then, we'll see you next time, everyone, and have a great day.
Thank you.